So if you didn't know, this is the Morning Wood NFL Sunday here, brought to you by Rumpier Sports.
What up, boys? We're back with the Golf War Show, the preeminent golf show on the entire internet.
Huge weekend of baseball coming up. We haven't really had a final week like this in a while where there's so many teams that are still alive.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone! Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone! Gibby beat Freddie!
They might have the best pass rush in football.
They were adamant about not having a slow start.
How many times have they disappointed us? So I'm having a lot less of this game.
The game is over. The New York Jets are the world champions. Mahomes swings it. It's there! Hardwood! Jackpot! Kansas City! The Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champions!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the NBA Hardwood Show here on Thursday morning, at least in the Mountain Time Zone. Talking today's smaller three-game NBA slate. Obviously got football tonight as well, so figured we'd go a little bit early on this one. You guys know me, I'm Draft Cheat, joined today by Rubio Dimes, who I believe just in the last 10 or 15 minutes finished counting his large stacks of cash he's won recently. Rubio, congrats on the big scores. What, 300K, something like that over the last week or two. Awesome stuff. Glad to have you on the show. How you doing on this Thursday morning, Rubio?
Yeah, Monday I got bumped out of the 100K on the last second. Randall rebound and 2 free throws. So knocked down to second place in the $15, which is a 75K drop. Yeah, I know.
No tears for Rubio.
It felt like a punch in the nuts, DC. But yeah, last night came really, really close. Needed 15 from Cooper Flagg in the fourth quarter. He got 3. But we're in the right spot. You know, I was even with the field and Craig Porter Jr., but no matter how much I bumped him up, my best lineup had him and didn't have Denise Jenkins, bro. I was like, oh, I didn't realize like that was the combo at the end, but Jenkins went off and so did Porter. But I was like, oh man, that would have been like the nuts if you told me before the slate started. Porter gets 52 and the chalk 60 piece or 60% guy gets 42. It's like, damn. Crazy slate.
Yeah. I had freaking Porter in my lineup all day from, you know, the pre-shell roster at like 8 a.m. all the way up until doing the up to lock show with JSU. And then there's just so much value that emerged that I ended up not needing him, right? It was kind of hard to spend the salary, so moved off of Porter, which not wise. 52 piece from Mr. Porter. Certainly needed him last night. But yeah, 3 games today. Has your Grayson Allen jersey arrived in the mail yet, Rubio? Or are you still waiting on that one?
If it was 100K, I for sure would have got one. 25K. Nah, I already got a Dalton Connect one. I don't need another white shooter.
You got plenty of those, I'm sure.
Nah, did you see that game though? Like, honest to God, Grayson Allen felt like LeBron James because he was coming off every screen with the intent to shoot. It was electric. I really felt like he was back at Duke. Like, I'm telling you that. If you were to go watch the highlights of that game, watch him run around 6 screens in one possession, and all the teammates wanting to give him the ball, trying to get the 50. It was just hilarious.
The difference between you and I, Rubio, if I needed Grayson Allen to close out a GPP, he'd be like tripping dudes like he did at Duke and get a technical foul from the game. For you, though, he turns into prime Michael Jordan and, you know, puts up 60 fantasy points. So
he didn't play the last 8 minutes. Neither did Royce O'Neal. Didn't play the last 16. Both were in my lineup. I lost by 0.75.
Yeah, because he was put up 60 fantasy points. And
they were only up 17 in that fourth quarter, and he still sent out all the scrubs. I was so pissed.
Fair enough.
Still mad.
We'll talk about Grayson Allen at the end of this little slate. We do have the 3 games to talk about. Just one game at the normal lock time, 7 Eastern time. That's Toronto. Cleveland will start their first, and 2 games, 2 hours after that at 9 Eastern time, Atlanta, Utah, and the Pacers and the Phoenix Suns. Let's jump into the first game of the night, though. Expected to be high scoring between the Raptors, Toronto and Cleveland here. Just talked about Porter, who was the big hero last night from Cleveland. They sat a lot of their starting lineup, but those guys, for the most part, are back tonight. Garland out, Lonzo Ball can't play 2 games in a row, so he's going to sit one out. But Mitchell and Mobley, most importantly, are back in the lineup. Jalen Tyson also out. So Cleveland still a little bit shorthanded, I guess. Maybe more opportunity for Porter to do it again. I don't think that's the most likely thing, but still possible and still cheap. So he's a little bit interesting. I do think Mitchell, Mobley, both interesting plays here. 238 total in this one. So expected to be high scoring. Cleveland favored by about a touchdown, 7.5. With the hook for the Cleveland Cavs here. And in Toronto, pretty much healthy. I mean, they've been one of the healthiest teams to start the year. Doesn't seem like maybe they've missed 1 or 2, but Barnes, Ingram, Barrett, quickly, kind of their big 4, have all just been playing every game, which for me at least, Rubio, has made them hard to play on most slates. 3-game slate, obviously a little bit different. You got to consider everybody. A way different slate than we had yesterday with just a million pieces of value. On this slate, you're going to be kind of hunting for the value, I think. There's not going to be too much of it. Talk to us on this first game of the night, Toronto and Cleveland.
Yeah, this game will be pretty fast. Cavs, top 5 in pace in the league. You got, the Raptors, top 10. So you're going to have a little bit of pace in this one. And I kind of wanted to mention what you said, too. Like Craig Porter Jr. went off last night, right? And a lot of people might see that and be like, oh, he only went off because Mitchell was out or whatever. And he was still the backup guard in that situation, right? And Donovan Mitchell comes back. Lonzo Ball was on that minutes restriction, though it's not really a restriction, whatever, right? But I do expect him to just immediately slot into a good role again, DC. And it's because of the performance last night, right? Like you could see more Tyrese Proctor and stuff, but like you might have been the hot hand. But
you put up 30, I mean, just a monster game. You got to have a little extra run the next night.
That's exactly it, right? Like that's what I'm kind of banking on. And 3,300 value is not really that great across the board. Unless we get news later on that really opens up the slate. Craig Porter Jr., I mean, would you not play him if he was getting 20 minutes at 3,300? I think you would. And he's always been like that in his career. He's always been a very great DFS option. This goes back to the summer league. This goes back to preseason. This goes back to college. Like, you have a guy like this where, I know that a lot of people might just assume like, hey, this guy isn't going to be that great, right? Or, with all those guys back, but in the end all be all, I think he will. And, I come back to this too. If I'm playing 3,300 for him, do I really want the point guard ahead of him? I think I do. I mean, Donovan Mitchell has been absolutely astounding. You got Mobley too. But these guys are slightly priced up. Like DeAndre Hunter, for example, he's 1,300 higher than he was yesterday, right? What was he, like 5,400 yesterday? This time he's 6,700. Allen's, a decent price. I'm not going to knock anyone for playing him at 6,400. Mobley and Mitchell, though, those are your 2 studs. I mean, if you look across the board, too, on the entire slate, they're what, 2 of the top 3 projected guys. And, Evan Mobley's salary is the 4th highest at 8,600. So you're going to have an interest in all these Cavs anyway, but more importantly, like these studs, and then you're able to pair them with Craig Porter Jr. to get him in. I guess it's an easier, game to target, especially with both teams being top 10 in pace, like I said. You also have the Raptors where last game, no guy eclipsed 33 minutes, DC. It was a 10-point win against the Nets. You mentioned it. They're completely healthy. The biggest concern about that was with no Sandro Mamu, they still went 10 deep, right? They even went 11 deep if you want to include the minute 30 for Mogbo. So you're kind of getting into this point where I actually thought that no Sandro would help Murray Boyles a little bit, right? Like, hey, maybe they kind of run fast. They go with him at the 5 a little bit. He's an athlete. He can do it all. Didn't really do that, right? So they still went 10 deep. Pirtle shined. I mean, if there was a guy at 5,500 where if you said 30 minutes again for him, if there is no Sandro, yeah, I think Pirtle would be my top guy. Maybe Quickly too, because Quickly can, heat up. I've like secretly been targeting the Cavs game in and game out just because their pace is so good. Does it shock you if they have a game that goes like 130 to 120?
Yeah.
The answer is no, because they do it all the time. I mean, even that double OT game, or almost double OT, that overtime game against Miami was like 140 to 138. Their games pop off all the time. So, like, I wouldn't mind overstacking it a little bit. Like, if you had 5 guys from this one where, Pirtle and then one of the 4 studs, I think Barnes is a guy that I never want to overlook Barnes because you talk about a guy with like triple double upside at any given time. The problem is just the minutes, right? He did get 35 minutes against the Hawks a few games ago, but if he's down to this 32 range, it does make him a little worse than these other studs like Booker, Mobley, Mitchell. But if he is getting the minutes here, DC, like, God, he's got 50-point upside. So, like, I think right now I could have 5 guys from this game in a tournament setting and be completely comfortable with it. If I ranked them, it would be Pirtle, Barnes, Quickly, Ingram, Barrett. And I probably wouldn't mess with any of the bench guys on the Raptors right now.
Yeah, that all makes sense to me. I wouldn't go too crazy with Toronto, but Cleveland looks pretty good again. I mean, I think the studs certainly in play with the guys out. And another thing about Porter Jr., I think they're thin enough on the guard spots, Rubio, where Porter probably closes a blowout. Cleveland, biggest favorite on the slate. If he's rolling again, you could see him, I think, pour in some points on the fourth quarter because they just don't have that many guys to put out there at the end of the game. So, yeah, I do like Porter. Does feel kind of points chasey, but it does make sense, again, to go back to him, especially on a shorter slate where we are lacking value. I rank the Toronto guys similarly to what you do. Barnes, I think, my favorite. And we'll see on Murray Boyles and Mamu, right, if those guys end up missing potentially some value in the Toronto front court. We'll keep it moving to the final 2 games of the slate, both starting at 9 Eastern time. So there should be pretty good late slate, too, on DraftKings, the 2-gamer. I kind of like playing those. We've got good content over at Run Pure Sports for anybody playing Maine or, of course, the late slates. But both these games tonight, at least, included in the main slate. Anybody wanting to join Run Pure Sports, you can use promo code RPS15. Awesome time of year, middle of football season. NBA, we've been red hot there. Certainly college football and everything else. MMA, of course. Everything you need over at Run Pure Sports. Let's get to Atlanta and Utah. 232 total in this one. A close spread. Atlanta favored by just a couple of points. Injury news, Utah going to be a little bit shorthanded again. They do get Kevin Love back for his 10 or 15 minutes, but we'll be without Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, obviously Kessler lost for the season. So Utah already a little bit shorthanded. And then the Atlanta side still without Trae Young. Kristaps Porzingis is doubtful in this game. I got to imagine he's sitting out if he's listed as doubtful. Doesn't seem like a player who's going to overcome that tag to me. And then big news too with Neil Alexander Walker, who is questionable, missed 2 of the previous 3 games, did return last game and put up another somewhat pedestrian performance, which seems to be kind of his go-to, just at 25 to 30 points a night. Seems like what you get from Na and Nickeil Alexander-Walker there. So, yeah, some injury news on both sides. Nothing really huge outside of the Porzingis and, of course, Trae Young news. But this game could be another good one for DFS. I think maybe overall my favorite game, Atlanta-Utah. What do you see here, Rubio?
Yeah, so the most important news on the slate is Nickeil Alexander-Walker, because that is the only news right now, right? That is like truly up in the air, right? If you want to mention Sandro and Murray Boyles both being questionable, the role players, right? Alexander Walker is going to be that guy with 30 minutes where those 30 minutes, if he's in, you already have these Atlanta Hawks who are kind of priced up, right? Where, not to say that Daniels, Okongwu, or Jalen Johnson are bad in any form. They are all great. But if Noah misses, right, it becomes Keaton Wallace, Vic Krejci, right? You have those type of guys step up. But the big thing that you mentioned too, Porzingis being out, right? Like, you're going to have to see a starting lineup change from last night, right? Okongwu gets a huge bump, right? He's going to be one of those guys where I always click no matter what on any given point here for these Hawks. And then I accidentally clicked away from the old Saber sim. That was fun. But if I were to kind of go into it, Okongwu would be my favorite. Jalen Johnson, by the way, last night. Did you see what he did? He had like 24, 10, and 8, man, in 3 quarters. Didn't play the fourth quarter. They were blown out.
Jalen Johnson, man. I think he's underrated still.
He's been my king of the court pick whenever they played. And he's due for a triple-double. He's actually one. If I were to pick a guy for a triple-double on a nightly basis, at one point, DC, it was 55-1 for him to get a triple-double. I can't imagine the odds are the same now. But God, man, he's a guy that I just want to keep hitting for the triple-double here. It's going to happen at some point. Hawks play a great brand of basketball without Trae Young. Without Trae Young, they're a better team, by the way. I mean, there's just no question. They got a winning record. They're 7-5 right now. This Hawks team without, I can't cheer for him when Trae Young is in. But when Trae Young is out, it's like, man, this team is easy to root for. You know, they play like a good team brand of basketball. They got 3 wins in a row. They beat the Lakers. They beat the Clippers. They destroy the Kings. And that Kings team. 133-100 last night. Hawks starters didn't play the fourth quarter. Okongwu, Daniels, Jalen Johnson, absolutely my favorites. And then with you could see Gay step up, right? Is that what they did last time? Gay started. Okongwu was at center without Kristaps, and then you had Ricochet start there at 3. So I have I guess anyone who starts for the Hawks I'd have interest in, but if like Keaton Wallace, I'm done with him. Like I genuinely think he does nothing for that team. Vic Krejci did have a great game the other day, if I remember right. Like he just absolutely went off. I want to say that was a game against Clippers. Yeah, he had 28 points on the showdown slate, DC. 8 of 10 from downtown.
I think he's a better player than Wallace for sure.
100%. And
those guys really only in play if Alexander Walker misses, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think he does miss, right? Like, you could say that, hey, like he didn't play last night because, they thought that, on the front end of the back-to-back, he'll have a better chance of playing in the second half of the back-to-back. Sure, right? Like, I'm cool with that. But again, that's going to be news that really impacts these rotational pieces at the bottom. Not so much Okongwu, Daniels, and Johnson. Those guys are all going to be fine. I will say this, too. Like, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Have you seen his stat line this year in DC? It's god-awful.
Yeah.
Like, he's genuinely been horrible shooting the ball. People will look at it and be like, wow, he's averaging 17, right? And then you look at his, like, three-point percentage and stuff. It's like 32%, shooting like 43% from the field. He's taking over 13 shots a game. Like, he's just not in his element. Like, with the Wolves, that was perfect for him, right? Catch and shoot, didn't have to do much. He's not
a lead guard like they're trying to have him play right now. I mean, it just doesn't work.
Exactly. And that's the issue with me, right? Like 6K is a lot for him, and especially when he's been kind of just mediocre to bad for the most part. Flip it over to the Jazz. Give it up for Kyle Filipowski. Talk about a dude who's just gotten really good at the game of basketball. Did you say this is a dumb question because I know the answer, but did you see his summer league performances, DC?
You were correct in knowing the answer. No, I did not. I did not see Filipowski's summer league.
He looked like prime Shaq in summer league, right? And that's when I kind of got pumped. And yet last slate, he was my top owned across the board, right? I got my teeth kicked in 2 nights ago. What was it? Tuesday night. I saw a lot of Run Pure Sports members did well, right? That was good. Good to see. I didn't have enough of the Raptors like Pirtle and Quickly in them. But Filipowski was the one guy I can hang my hat on and be like, this dude is actually like legit. The minutes aren't there completely yet, right? They played him a decent bit, but they don't really like overlapping him and Nurkic. And then, by the time he subs in, Markkanen's already on his second stint with the unit. So he's never even like really a first option. But at 4,600, he's going to be a guy where no one's ever going to play him, but like I'm going to keep like peppering him in there because he's bound for like these 30 pieces in 20 minutes. And that's like a really dark horse tournament play, like on a 3-game slate.
Sounds like you don't want him and Nurkic. Are they kind of splitting the 7 minutes?
It's like he'll come in for Nurkic about like the 4-minute mark left in the first quarter, and then like he'll overlap with Nurkic for like 3-4 minutes. But they definitely kind of they're not going to get there together. Like even last game, Nurkic didn't really have a great game, right? And Filipowski did. So I do think they kind of interfere with their upside a little bit because if Filipowski gets hot, well, they might be more inclined to say, let's stick with him at the 5, right? So, that's just the thinking there. Ace Bailey, great first quarter last game. Didn't really do anything the last 3 quarters for the most part. But again, 4,800, that's fine value. Every single slate, though, DC, I'm jamming in Keontae George. Isaiah Collier being back, though, it did kind of interfere with his ball handling just a bit, right? I know George got a lot of foul trouble early on in the last game. He had 3 fouls in the first half. He picked up a 4th foul really early in the third quarter, too. Or no, he picked one up, a 4th foul at the end of the second quarter, and then picked up the 5th foul early in the third quarter as well. But he's still going to be a guy with just mega upside every single slate. Hawks are historically a good matchup, right? Like if you look at their top 11 in pace this year, Jazz top 13. Yeah, I mean, I like this game overall. Lauri Markkanen, 40 PRA, was almost king of the court. Just missed out by 15 to Nikola Jokic a couple nights ago. But I think I do like I do like this game a lot, like you said.
I kind of like the Jazz starters together. Keontae George, obviously a good distributor. You've got the cheapness in Bailey. Markkanen can bomb from 3, and Nurkic. I still think Nurkic has pretty good upside from night to night. It's not going to be every night, but when he gets going and playing well, I do think he's, we've seen some big games out of him. So I do like him a little bit. And then, Filipowski off the bench makes some sense as well. So a lot of ways to go with Utah. Same with Atlanta, especially if Na ends up missing. I think we got potentially a pretty good game stack here on this 3-game Thursday slate. Let's talk about the last game of the slate. We'll do plays of the day after that, and then we'll get on out of here a little bit early. But first, let's talk about Indiana and Phoenix. Phoenix favored by 4.5 in this one, 233 total. So similar to the Atlanta-Utah game. Phoenix, biggest news in this one, they're going to be missing starting center Mark Williams, most likely listed doubtful. I think it'll be Nick Richards that gets the start for Mark Williams. They were on the same team in Charlotte too, right? Williams and Richards, and they both. I think they both moved over.
That was actually funny. Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I think Richards was the starter and Williams was the backup back in Charlotte for most of the time. But anyway, should be Richards out there. Iguodaro, I think, will play some minutes as the backup 5 as well. Phoenix. I mean, they got your man Grayson Allen all the way up to 6,800.
68, man.
Yeah. Hard to believe he's paying the price for shipping for you, Mr. Allen. Obviously, Booker, the lead guy here. We've seen some pretty good games from Gillespie, but most of those were kind of early on, a little bit earlier in the season. He's kind of come back to earth a little bit. No big surprise. Booker is what it really runs through. And then Royce O'Neal. Maybe not the most upside in the world, but really good bet to give you 25, 30, and of course anybody can pop off. So Phoenix looks pretty interesting to me. The Pacers getting a little bit healthier, still without several significant pieces. Obviously Halliburton's still out, Mathurin, Quentin Jackson, Furphy is out as well. But they do have TJ McConnell back and Nembhard back as well, so not super shorthanded in the backcourt. Obi Toppin remains out as well, so a little bit shorthanded in the front court. But this one expected to be close, and I do think another good game. It does seem like a slate Rubio. Well, we'll see, I think, some spread out ownership. All 3 of these games will get ownership, which is good for a 3-gamer. Talk to us. What do you see between the Pacers and the Suns here?
I think the Pacers might be my least favorite team on the slate, right? And that's not because of anything, but like Pascal's it's 9,700 for him, right? And that's a tall tag, especially when you got Nembhard back, you got TJ McConnell back. TJ McConnell looked great, by the way. Then like they also, against the Jazz, what do? They throw in Tony Bradley and Jeremiah Robinson Earl as starters, and I think that's where my slate went wrong on Tuesday. Was I bit the hook pretty hard, right? I was like, man, like. No way they come in owned what they should be, and I bit the bullet, and I played Jeremiah Robinson Earl, I played Tony Bradley, and they did nothing for the most part. You still got Rick Carlisle coaching there, right? So it's like even if you start, you could easily just see 15, 20 minutes. That's kind of what happened. If they do start again, I think I would have more interest in Jeremiah Robinson Earl because what you say earlier, well, we got Nick Richards probably at a lock at center, right, at 3,200. Which yesterday, if you did that with Paul Reed. He had a pretty good day if you just like walked The worst part is everyone who's played DFS knows Paul Reed's been capable of that if he's gotten minutes. Like, it might not help your team win basketball games, but you know he's going to get like as many fantasy points as possible in limited time. But Richard's going to be a guy that, you know, you're probably going to have. It could be Oso Ighodaro who gets to start too. Like, they have started Oso in the past. They were even starting Oso to start out the season, right? Like, Mark Williams came off the bench and they still went with Ighodaro. I want to say like that'll happen for sure, but at the end of the day, yeah, jam in Richards. If Oso starts and Richard doesn't, well, you can have your pick if you want Richards off the bench for 25 minutes or Oso as a starter for 25 minutes, right? Like, yeah, there's a chance they could share the court too. Oso's been able to play the four a little bit at times as well. Last game, Mark Williams played 26 minutes, Richards played 10, and Oso played 12. So they all split up the center minutes pretty evenly. Maybe there won't be overlap like I thought. But Oso and Richards probably splitting 48 minutes regardless. It could be right down the middle or whatever. Either one's going to be a good play. Probably go with the starter. Probably go with Richards overall because Oso has been pretty poor this season from a fantasy perspective. Booker is in this spot where I actually think he's kind of enjoying it, right? Like, the Phoenix Suns are 7-5 right now. I don't think anyone really expected them to do much this year, and that's the way Devin Booker likes it. When the lights are the least bright, he can shine a little bit, right? But I really like the way he's playing the game, right? He's really been a great point guard for them, and you know, not a lot of people will probably give him the flowers he deserves. But with no Jalen Green, you know, you have Devin Booker having to step up even more. You have Grayson Allen, who, I mean, God, man, you talk about a guy who's just had a resurgence this year. The shock for me last night was Colin Gillespie, you know, under 20 minutes for felt like the first time in forever, right? That dude has been an absolute stud. But I guess against New Orleans, he's going to play 13. If that role is trimming down, if you remember, he started the season on an absolute fireball. All right, he was absolutely firing. Then you look in the last 4 games. This is probably why his minutes got cut. He is 28 shots in those games, right? He's only made 6 of them. So he's 6 of 28 in his last 4 games. Maybe those minutes trending down. I kind of wanted to click his name, DC at 5,100, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Jordan Goodwin has been playing a little bit more as well. Even the game they were blowing out the Pelicans in, he didn't get the run with the bench unit, which is interesting. Royce O'Neal only played 2.5 quarters last game. I'm fine with him at 5,400. Great filler piece. Dylan Brooks too. So it's like, I love watching a game, right? And that was the game that Grayson Allen went nuclear, but you also get to see like Dylan Brooks and them. I watched the Phoenix Suns game last night even. I've watched too many Suns games, right? I didn't plan to watch 2 games in 3 nights of the Suns, but Dylan Brooks gets a lot more usage than you'd expect when you're watching them, right? Like, all of a sudden, like, Dylan Brooks gets the ball and it's going up. Like, it goes up. He had 14 shots yesterday. You go back a couple games ago, he had 13. 18, 17, and 24 to start out the season. Like, his lowest shot output was 6 against the Clippers, where even then he still scored 16 points because he was able to get to the line 7 times. Sneaky high usage player. And with Devin Booker and no Jalen Green, I should say, I think Dylan Brooks' projection is like real low and someone that you could really target for tournaments, especially in a pace-up spot. We know what the Pacers want to do. They want to play fast. They're 1-10 on the year. They've been absolutely horrendous. And again, it's not their fault. They're injured. They're beaten up. They're missing their star point guard. They've been missing every single guard they've had. That pace could only go up with Nembhard and McConnell back, right? Like, you know, you'd be hoping that. So I will definitely have interest in Brooks, Booker, Allen. I'm still going to play Allen. I'm not going to play Allen tonight. Royce O'Neal, and then obviously the centers. One last mention on the Pacers too. I know it's a shorter show. We really did try to extend this. I tried to talk a lot, but like it's just tough to.
People love the Rubio knowledge. Keep it going.
That's like if I were to kind of be talked into a tournament play here, look how many guys are projected for the Pacers. And that's not even a fluke, right? Like go to that Jazz game a couple of games ago, right? And it wasn't like they were getting blown out or anything. It's just the fact is this Pacers team could be going, and they're not only 10 deep, they could go 11 or 12 deep at a time. And you know, they gave up 152 points to the Jazz. They ran how many guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 deep. All 12 of those guys at least got 5 minutes. So Cody Martin got 5 minutes. That was the lowest. The other 6 guys off the bench got double-digit minutes. this is definitely the least sexy team overall. Nemhard, his role is great, right? Like his role is like legitimately really good. He also had 5 fouls last game, only played 30 minutes. But if you were to see him get like 32, 33 minutes, he would be my favorite run back. I think I'm out on Neesmith at that price, where it's just the price is just a little bit high with all those bodies coming back. I know that he can have a little bit of upside. He will shoot the 3 at a high clip. But yeah, I mean, like even McConnell comes back, plays great, right? 11 minutes, 12 shots. Seems like he's on a very soft minute restriction right now. So I don't really want to go that route. And that's it on the Pacers, really.
Siakam, yeah. I mean, I think too expensive at 9,700 with the guards back. And also going to have Brooks and Royce O'Neal on him, I think, most of this game. Not ideal matchup for him. So I think Pacers clearly the least interesting team on the slate overall. Just playing too many guys, like you mentioned, and prices are up because they've had so many guys out all year. So I do think Nemhard makes the most sense if you're looking for a run back with a bunch of Phoenix Suns. That is all 3 games. CPA Joe, yeah, you're welcome for the show, getting it done early today. Rubio, let's go over our play of the day, and then we'll get on out of here. And, of course, we'll have all the information, cores, everything up in the Discord as we get closer to lock up on Run Pier Sports. But yeah, for now, it's kind of just a little preview. Obviously, no lineups or anything like that. But Rubio, it's early, so we won't hold you to it. But as we sit here 5.5 hours before lock, you got a play of the day here on NBA Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give 2, right? I'll give one where I probably wouldn't play him in a single entry, but I really like Dylan Brooks tonight at 6,200. It would not shock me if he were to get 35, 40 fantasy points. Shot rate is there. Like I said, if you really don't look at it, just isolate it to the first 3 games of the season before he got hurt, 24, 17, and 18 shots. That's insane, right? Like, that really is. In the last couple games, 14 and 13, and that's even with his minutes. He only played 26 minutes against the Pelicans, 31 minutes last night. I think he's like a sneaky spot for a potential 35 to 40 ball. Probably wouldn't pair him up with like Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal. Like I'd be hoping that he would kind of get hot from deep. And then my chalkier one, I can never go wrong with Onyeka Okongwu. That dude, love his game. I think that they finally made the right decision. It took them a while to give him the minutes over Capella last year. They have not looked back. I really think he's a complete center too. Like, he's got a sneaky all-around game, and 6,200, man, I'll gladly eat that chalk all day.
Love it. I'll go with our guy, Jalen Johnson, coming off a pretty big game. Both of us think there's even bigger games coming for Jalen Johnson. He's had some foul trouble and blowouts and just hasn't really quite come together. Not that he's been bad, but I still think there's more meat on the bone with Jalen Johnson. So 8,300, I like this matchup against Utah, who I think is pretty soft underneath at the big guy spots for the most part. So Jalen Johnson, my play of the day. That'll do it for this show. If you haven't yet, hit the like button on your way out. Check us out over best betting, otherwise Discord, awesome community, all the good stuff over at Run Pure Sports. So check us out. We'll be, of course, in the Discord, closer to lock, answering questions, finalizing cores, and getting ready for this 3-game slate. That'll do it for today. I'll be back at the normal time with JSU for Up to Lock for members tomorrow. And Rubio, I assume we'll be back next Thursday talking some hoops. That'll do it for us, though. I'm Draft Cheat for Rubio Dimes. We're out of here.